afternoon and welcome to the Mamaroneck High School 2001 Alumni Roundtable, where we invite a select group of students who graduated last June to come back after one semester in college, tell us a little bit about what life has been like, and perhaps reflect a little bit on their high school experience. We are delighted to have all of you back. As I say, it's a very special group of people because you are my first group who came to the school when I did 4 years ago. You are now no longer here. You've gone on, and we remain. Seated to my left is the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Sherry King, and we're so happy to have her. Dr. King, thank you.
Thank you.
And we thought we would begin by going around and introducing ourselves. And can we start, please, with Amanda?
Hi, I'm Amanda Santoro, and I go to SUNY Geneseo.
I'm Alyssa Beaver, and I attend University of Pennsylvania.
I'm Bridget Fry, and I also go to SUNY Geneseo.
Hi, I'm Tracy Jo Figueroa, and I attend the Stern School of Business at New York University.
I'm Monica Lee, and I go to Tufts University.
Casey Rosebloom, I go to Syracuse University.
Noelle Vanadia, I go to Fairfield University.
Jared Lappin, I go to University of Rochester.
Ben Sanders, University of Texas at Austin.
Pat Flynn, Stanford University.
Ian Asaf, Tufts University.
Andrew Halkett, Washington University in St. Louis.
Sarah Morrow, Yale University.
Robert Page, Concordia College in Bronxville, New York.
Ethan Chagaska, I go to Bucknell University.
Kathleen Galveo, I go to Gettysburg College.
Allie Sauer, Tufts University.
Michael Atkins, Yale University.
Genevieve Creedon, Bowdoin College.
Carol Mueller, Colby College.
Philip Lagama, Fairfield University.
Allison Paley, Washington University in St. Louis.
Juanita Mitchell, Virginia Commonwealth University.
What a group. So can we start just casually by my asking, how's the first 6 months been, first semester? You look well rested and healthy. Donald, raise your hand. Anybody? How's the first semester been?
I've loved it.
My alma mater.
Yes. My professors literally wrote books on the subject. They just know so much, and everything. You go to college, you're not exactly sure what to expect in terms of social, whether you get along with your roommates, and everything's just turned out so wonderfully. I'm just thrilled with it.
So it met your expectations?
And surpassed them.
And more. Robert?
It was a new challenge, but it was very good because, you know, you go on to your next level and learn something new, and at times you get nervous, and in the beginning it was nerve-wracking, but then you get used to it very quickly, and even with your roommate, it's someone new, but you get along living with a person pretty well. At least it was my experience, it was that way.
That's good, you're fortunate.
So anybody started out with a less fortunate roommate situation?
Oh yeah, me.
We knew that we'd get a response.
I don't know. My roommate just doesn't like me. I don't really like him. We're just totally different people. And I mean, we get along okay, but he's just not someone that I enjoy spending time with. And I know he doesn't enjoy spending time with me. We have our problems.
So, Phil, a problem to the degree you might consider switching roommates?
I'd love to, but I mean, I'm probably just gonna last out the rest of this year, because I don't want to deal with having to move anywhere else on campus or anywhere. So I don't know. I'll just deal with the rest of this year. But I know I don't want to be his roommate ever again.
Actually, each year we do the program. We talk a lot about roommates. How about the rest of you? How many roommates do you have, and how do you find living with your roommates? Tracy?
I have 4 other roommates, but we're in a kind of suite situation. Like there's a triple and a double, and I'm in the double, and then we all have 1 bathroom. That's a good thing about NYU is every room situation has their own bathroom, so there's no communal bathrooms. But it's been working out really well with my roommates. I mean, we all have different interests. We're all in different schools of NYU, and we're all studying different things, but it just makes it more unique, and we learned how to manage the bathroom cleaning wise and everything, and we get along pretty well.
And do you think your roommates will become your friends?
Yeah, I'm really close with the people on my floor, in my room, and next door and down the hall, so we've become pretty close because, you know, we're always living together, we're always together, so it's fun.
You're lucky. Some other people, how the first 6 months have gone? Or roommates? Kathleen?
No, me and my roommate get along. She's just a lot messier than I am, so it's hard to live. You can see the fine line across our room that divides my half and her half. But it's fine, like, I could deal with it.
Allie, how's your beginning been?
It was good. I love my roommate. She's one of my best friends, so it turned out really well.
So you all were brand new in school at an extraordinary fall when September 11th happened. Wondering what that was like for you to both be away from home with roommates you barely knew, with a lot of people who you probably didn't know that well. What were some of your experiences like?
Well, going to school in the first place is like a huge emotional strain. You don't know anyone, you're not, you don't have your best friends, you don't have your family, and then for something like what happened to happen is just such a, it makes it so much harder. It's even more emotional strain. My experience with it at Syracuse was that it really did bring the new community, like all the freshmen, it really brought everyone together because you had to see that side of everyone. Everyone was upset, everyone was crying, like you were dealing with a huge, huge tragedy. And everyone really came together, and it helped make friends, actually, which, yeah.
Other experiences?
I was in Spain for first semester, so being that far away from home to begin with was difficult. But then to be in another country when your country has this awful thing happen to it was, in and of itself, just not something that you would ask for. So it was nice because there were 15 freshmen with me in Spain from Colby. So we became very close. Like, whether we wanted to or not, that was who we looked to for support because we couldn't get in touch with anyone here because all the phones were down and there was no way to get in touch. So it was nice, but it was eerie.
Pearl, I want to ask you something. You went to Spain for your first semester. That's very unusual. In fact, I've never heard of it. Usually people go their junior year abroad. What is that program?
A lot of smaller colleges, in order to maintain school size and class size, they have to offer you a January acceptance. So in order to keep your credits up, they let you go into one of their study abroad programs. So I went to Spain and got my credits, and now I go to school in January.
Kind of a nice opportunity.
It was nice. I liked it a lot.
Other reactions to what happened September 11th?
So we have people who were across the country and somebody who was almost right there.
Well, I hadn't even been at school for a full week yet, and so though I had met people that I really liked and whatever, it was really tough because I didn't know who to really go to, and I didn't want to be like that girl who is just like, like kind of sulking about it. And that day, actually, I couldn't get in touch with my mom, who's in the city, and I was like frantic about that. I didn't know whether to like go home, to stay at school, what to do. And it's kind of, when something happens like far away, like with Oklahoma, like that's close and it was upsetting, but you're kind of relieved. I don't really want to say that, but you're sort of relieved that it's there and not here. And this was just like really terrible for me. And then when it like Washington, like I had like tons of friends in Washington, and I was calling one of my friend's mothers for her because she couldn't get in touch with her, so it was just really tough. But
Two people, Shannon and Janae, just walked in. Welcome. Happy to have you at the round table. I know it's hard to pinpoint, and I know I sound like Oprah when I ask it, but if you had to put your finger on the greatest difference between high school and college, would you try for us so far?
Doing my own laundry. That's it.
You sound like my daughter. Sarah, you going to say something?
There are a lot of differences. I like it better. I don't know. It's just, my parents were pretty liberal. They trusted me a lot. So I really have no, it's so much freer issues, because actually in many ways I felt freer at home because Yale's kind of a bubble. And like when September 11th happened, I didn't realize the magnitude of and all the implications until I came back to Larchmont a few weeks later for some random thing and saw the flags up and was like, oh my God, this really is big, But in terms of differences, maybe like papers that are 8 pages long, I got hit with 5 papers in like a span of 2 weeks, and it was just crazy because some of them, I'd never written papers that long in my life.
Did the rest of you find that academic work much, much more rigorous than in high school?
Yeah.
I see Jared saying yes and
yes
Ben
and
saying no.
no.
So, tell us a little bit.
I have considerably more work than I ever did here. I'm an engineering major, so I have a lot of math assignments, and it's considerably more rigorous. Here with math, I was able to use a calculator, and I found that at college, it's not allowed. So I've had to learn how to do math without a calculator to begin with.
You know, that's
So that
very
alone
interesting,
is
because you should know that a
pretty
lot of the
challenging.
science teachers here are talking about that, the use of the calculator, the positive things, that, as well as the drawbacks. Are the rest of you forbidden to use a calculator in science, too?
Yeah.
I'm very, this is the first time, I've been doing this
Can we
5
see a
years.
little show of hands? How many of you are taking a math course? Of those, how many of you are not allowed to use calculators? About half of you. Wow.
Of those who cannot, could you tell us whether you're in favor of that and what the rationale seems to be? Shannon?
In favor of using calculators?
Not using calculators.
Oh, I'm against it because in the beginning, my teacher was like, he was letting us use calculators. And then all of a sudden at the end, when it came time for the final, he was like, oh, you can't use calculators. So we were so used to using calculators. And then he was like, you can't use calculators. So we were just like in the dark, basically. But I think that it's better if they tell you in the beginning if you can't, because then you learn how to become like dependent without using a calculator. Because you could be up in a store and you might need to use math. You can't just pull out your calculator. So that's like the only advantage. But I think it's a little harder without a calculator.
But what's the reason in college? I would think that they would allow you to use calculators. What's the reason that they don't want you to use it in science courses?
I think it's to reinforce understanding. I don't think that it's so correct anymore because calculators are so prevalent. But I think that the thought is that if you actually do it by hand, then you'll understand what you're doing more clearly.
And is that proven true for you, Jerry?
Certainly not for me.
All right.
I don't know if I understand that so much because I didn't take a math course. Probably never going to take one again, but I did take macroeconomics, which the math on that is a joke. It's like 4th grade math. But my macro teacher for our final and our midterm, he said you can use a calculator, you can bring whatever you want. And I brought a calculator and I didn't really use it, but I'm kind of glad that he did because I think you're being tested in most cases on the knowledge you've learned, and algebra and multiplication isn't that and isn't one of them, or at least it shouldn't be in college, I would so hope. And if you do the money multiplier wrong because 7 times 7 is 50 or something, I don't think you should lose points on that, and I think I was glad that we were allowed to use calculators.
And you said the work wasn't harder for you?
I'm not like taking hard stuff. I guess like there's like engineers and all that stuff. Nah, I don't take science. I don't take math. So, I mean, I write essays and I could write essays. So, that's it.
You know, people in the community always ask us when people go to college, what's your favorite course? Something that really has engaged you, has grabbed you. What is your favorite course? And I hope you're not going to say to me none. Something that really has just engaged you intellectually that you love in college? Anybody?
I took a contemporary history course, Spain's contemporary history, and I think it was more the professor that really engaged me than the class itself. And I think talking with a lot of people, the professor has really been more of the things that you get impressed by and you really focus on. So I think that was what got me involved more.
Kuro, did you find that true in high school as well?
For me, that's how it was. If I enjoyed the teacher, I enjoyed the class much more.
Michael?
Well, one of the things I was going to add to that is the same as with me in high school, the professors or the teachers made a big difference in terms of engagement of the students. In college, I mean, it's similar too. I mean, obviously, if you have a great professor and dynamic lecturer, I mean, it's going to make a difference. But I found that a lot of the times you really have to motivate yourself more in school to get involved and get interested in the subject, because oftentimes the lectures are 100+ students, and you don't have the interaction between student and teacher that you did. So a lot of it falls more on the student's shoulders.
Is there one particular course that grabbed you?
I took an introduction to film course, which I had no experience with that at all before. And I found that pretty interesting.
Some other courses that you enjoyed? Ian?
I took an introduction to philosophy course, and again, I think it was definitely a function of the teacher. He was this young guy, he was really enthusiastic. I don't know if he, sort of had something to prove to like the older professors in the philosophy department or what, but he really engaged the class, and he was available pretty much whenever I wanted to see him outside of class, talk about papers. And aside from that, the subject matter was really interesting. It brought to light a lot of points that I'd never really thought about before. And it really engaged me. I thought it was a really great course. I'm planning on continuing in it.
Ian, was the course small?
There are about 18 kids in it, so yeah, it's pretty small.
And we mentioned this comes up every year. We talked about lecture courses. Some of you just alluded to the fact that you're in large lecture courses. How many of you do have courses where you have over 100 people in a lecture? Have those generally been interesting, different from the smaller courses in terms of maintaining your interest?
It's new, you know, and it's definitely hard to keep up with the work when there's nobody there watching you, and you know, that's one of the main differences I found going to college is how many more responsibilities I have, you know, making sure that I take care of what I have to do without anybody there to remind me or check on me. But I mean, big lectures, they're fun, and you can kind of fall asleep if you have to, or but you get through them.
Patrick, parents are watching. Please be careful. Just kidding. Other people with lecture courses, have they been satisfying? Not? Bridget?
I was really lucky. My biggest lecture course had 200 people, but my professor really went out of his way. But by the midterm, he knew everyone's name. Like the first week, he took pictures of everyone and asked to write your name down and learned everyone's name. And like I was really fortunate. And the subject matter, he made it really interesting.
That's really unusual.
Yeah. A lot of my teachers took pictures to learn everybody's names.
I've never heard of that. Has that been the case for the rest of you? Do they know you?
Well, I was just about to say, I had an archaeology class, which I thought was really interesting, but it was quite large. And I wouldn't say that the professor, she didn't take pictures of anybody, but she did try to learn most names, and I would say that she knew probably about 75% of the class, like people that went to class a lot and people that never came, and who like didn't sleep in class, and she knew, and it just really made it like a big difference, I think, and like I felt it was one of my best classes I took.
If you've worked with me for 4 years, you know that I get fixated on certain things. I'm fixated on this. Do your teachers at college know you in the way that teachers at high school did?
No.
Oh no.
And can I get
Definitely
some people?
not.
Allison?
Well, I think it's hard, first of all, in larger lectures, there are so many kids in there that the professors don't really have a chance to know you on a personal basis or even get to know your name. But it's also, you don't see them every day. Sometimes you see them 2 times a week for maybe an hour. Other times you see them 3 times a week for an hour. And you don't see them every day, so they don't see the same faces. And they have other classes as well that might be just as large. And so it's hard for them to get to know you as well as your high school teachers do.
And does that make for you college less satisfying in that sense?
Well, I've gone to some of my professors and they've learned my name, and so they see me in class and they make an effort to either say hello or ask questions, and if I have a question, they'll say Allison, so it's better that way. But if you don't go to them, then they don't know you.
It's interesting. Anybody who hasn't spoken? Genevieve?
Yeah, I think Allison definitely underlined the fact that it's the responsibility to get to know professors rests really on the students' shoulders. And I know they told that to the incoming class that you should get to know professors, but it's really your responsibility to go and make that first step, because when they have large classes, they can't try to get to know everybody. But definitely, I've found that they're very receptive to getting to know everyone, and that if you make that first step, they will, go to lunch with you or have you.
Professors know you, Genevieve?
Yeah, I have 2 larger classes and 2 small classes, and I know all 4 professors very well. So.
Monica, do your professors know you?
One of the 4 of them do, but that's just because it was a smaller English class, and I went to him for papers. But my large lecture classes, they don't know me, and that's not, as satisfying whenever it's not, because at high school your teachers know you in class and out of class. College, it's just like in the classroom unless you reach out,
Ben?
Well, like, I talk a lot, just in general, and like, in my classes, I talk all the time, and I got the accent because they were all texting, and I'm not, so, I talk, everybody kind of looks around, So, like, my teachers all know me as the New Yorker, so that really helps me a lot, and, like, like, they always point questions towards me, like, it's almost like, it's weird, it's like, most of my classes are pretty interactive, so as long as you talk and you go in during office hours, you talk, I know, like, all 4, they all know me. They all ask me about September 11th and all that.
On the theme of personalization, very often when we have this, people say to us that they felt close to a large group of people at Mamaroneck High School, and I think it's one of the virtues of the high school. I'm wondering now, it's hard, it's only 6 months, but do you feel that you are close to a group of people and that you feel as comfortable socially as you did at the high school?
Well, I live on a floor with 16 girls, including myself, and compared to the rest of the hall, we're a small floor because the other floors have over 80 people. So it's different, and like we all in the beginning, we would all just hang out with each other and go eat meals with each other and walk to class together because we didn't know anyone else. So compared to, like, I go to school with Bridget, and in the beginning I knew like it was just easy because I knew 15 girls because we just all hung out together, and compared to other people I knew who maybe didn't make friends as fast. But I find it's good because now everyone's like making their own friends within the group and hanging out more with other people. But it was just good to know that you had 15 other people that you could go to class with or talk with if you had a problem. There were some girls that were up from Rochester, upstate, or girls from Long Island, so you could talk to them like when September 11th happened. And it was just good just to know a large group of people, even if maybe they weren't your best friends and you weren't that friendly with them, but you had 15 other people living within 10 feet of you to talk to and to be your friend and meet. And so it was fun.
How about the rest of you socially? How do you find it so far? Casey?
I would say that I have actually a group of people that I hang out with a lot, like a bunch of probably, 8 girls, and we're close, but it's nothing like friends from home yet. It will be, I know, but just, even coming home Thanksgiving and just having that same familiarity, not even, just having that, like, it's just such a home feeling. There's nothing like your friends from home yet. It's not the same at all.
Cool. I wanted to say, we'll get you next. It's different making friends in college. However, it's good. It's nice because you see different people from different backgrounds, different towns, and versus here, everyone kind of knows one another from, let's say, maybe as far back as elementary school. And it's, in a sense, it's easier because it's less, I want to say cliquish because, different people and you learn different styles of socialization, so. That's well put.
Yeah. Well, for me, like, I feel like my friends at college, since I'm living with them and, like, I don't know them better than my friends here, but you just like know like how they like live and stuff. And more like your family, like there's a girl in our hall we call like the sister of the hall, and then there's like the mother of the hall, and like they just take on like characteristics of people in your family, and like your friends home you're probably closer to, but it's a different relationship.
One of the things that people ask us all the time, and I'm sure it was even when you were coming into high school, is whether we should have an open campus here. And so we have our own feelings about how that open campus contributes to your being able to navigate college. What do you think? Did open campus, did the freedom of the school help you, hinder you, have no impact?
Well, I don't think any of us is going to condemn not having an open campus here, and I really think it was a good thing because we have so many things at our disposal from Mamaroneck High School, whether it's one of the pizza places across the street or Mamaroneck Avenue when you have a car. I talked to my friends who talk about their study halls when they had a free period with no class, and it just seemed like they were so sheltered, and while going to college is going to be a step for anybody, we had a little advantage, I think, over other people who didn't get a chance to leave high school.
Would you agree with what Alyssa said?
Yeah.
Shannon?
Yeah, I agree. I think that having an open campus makes you more independent because you can have you can either go see a teacher or you can go to the deli. It's like you have to choose like what's more important. So the people who, not all of them, but the people who didn't necessarily have an open campus, every chance they could, they're going out, they're doing something, and maybe they're not getting the stuff that they need to get done because they're just so happy that they're free. So I think there are more benefits to having an open campus because you just learn how to do what's important and how to get things done for yourself, and no one's telling you, oh, go to study hall. You should be at study hall when there's a free. You have to go get help. You have to inquire.
I think an open campus teaches you responsibility because in high school, you usually do go to class, but at college there's nobody telling you that you need to be on class and that you have to be there at this time. But having an open campus, you only have so much for lunch, and then you really do have to be back in class. And at college, most kids do go to class, but some kids don't. But I think having the open campus teaches you the responsibility to be on time and to go to class.
All right, are you ready for the question? Dr. King and I are both former English teachers, And there hasn't been a roundtable where the subject of writing doesn't come up. And people tell us, my God, I got back my first paper and it was read all over it in college. Could you talk a little bit about the experience of writing in college, the feedback you've gotten as compared to, let's say, high school? Philip?
I'm getting eaten alive. every paper I hand in, it seems there's something wrong with it.
We like your sense of humor, Philip.
Thank you. I'm getting destroyed in terms of writing. I mean, I had some really good English teachers here, but the writing style is a lot different when I go to school.
Can you say more about that? In what way?
They're very structured in college, and it's got to be done a particular way. And if it's not done that way, then it's wrong. Like they do it down to the finest detail, outline, the structure of the paper, and just sentence structures. If you're off like with a comma, it's like that'll lower your grade a whole letter pretty much, and it kind of hurts.
Monica, you gonna say something, and then Juanita?
For me, it's actually the opposite. I took AP English here last year, but I did horribly, and thought I was a good writer, didn't do well, and so my self-confidence last year was shot. And then I went to college this year, and I'm doing English is my best class, I guess. And maybe it's a professor, but I think the whole outline, and I never did drafts, different drafts. We didn't have, now we have workshops that our peers review everything. So I think we work on them more, so it's easier.
That's interesting. Juanita?
Just writing papers in general, the length of the paper took a while, or the fact that I wrote drafts over and over again for papers. One paper I struggled with the whole semester. I think I wrote 6 drafts. I changed my paper over and over again. But I think the best thing that helped me was cover letters. We just wrote and explained what we had a hard time with in the beginning, so the teacher would just look for that first, and then so they can help you with that. That's what helped me a lot.
That's interesting. On writing, Sarah?
I skipped all the English classes. I took an anthro and a history of colonial Latin America and stuff like that. And I find though that it might be strange, but I haven't gotten any comments back on the papers. And I just had a really bad TA for one. But basically, I think what was hardest was just figuring out what the style is for each different department, because excuse me, anthropology has a very different style from history. It's you get to BS a little more, and it's kind of expected of you that you're gonna make stuff up a little, not make up facts, but sort of come up with sort of your own opinions more, whereas history, you gotta get the facts down and then draw more conclusions from your facts. And I really struggled with history as opposed to anthropology, so it's stuff like that.
Do you feel that the high school prepared you in terms of college for writing?
Not for the longer papers. My roommate went to a private school, and she'd written long papers. And I mean, some of my roommates had 25-page papers. So that's the one thing I was kind of annoyed with when I got there.
Kathleen, you look like you had a paper man.
Yeah, I did. Well, I had Dr. Esteno 2 years while I was in high school, and I think he was probably the best teacher I ever had for any class. And I think he prepared me for, there are, depending on the teachers, the way they want you to write, different teachers have different expectations of you. So it depends, but I think he prepared me. Wow.
The time was whizzing by as they're telling us. If you had some advice for people who are still in high school of stuff they should do, take advantage of, be sure to learn while they're still here, what would you tell them?
Oh, well, I don't think they should stress out that much about this college thing. I mean,
I'm sure you were all very calm.
I remember. There are a lot more important things in life than getting into college, and out of everything, if you're going to be successful in the long run, you can be successful at any college, and there are going to be people who get into their #1 choice and not have a good time, there are going to be other people who are not going to get into their number of first choices and have a better time than if they had gone to their first choice. So like, you know, it's a crapshoot either way. So I think you should just have fun with like the time you have here.
I think that's nice advice to hear when students just heard about early admission applications. Tracy?
I agree with Ethan also, and to add, like, when you're looking for the college that you're interested in, really investigate, see if it's a type of setting that you like, because where I am, NYU, there is no campus. I mean, we're totally integrated with the city, but a lot of my friends came expecting a campus, and what we have is Washington Square Park, which isn't really that much at all. And so that everyone's like, there's no grass, there's no trees really, you know, there's just a lot of homeless people around. And I mean, it's the city. It's an awesome place to live. I love it. I knew I was going, you know, to this type of setting. I live on 10th Street and Broadway. I walk down Broadway to get to class. I mean, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. But a lot of people are like, I want to switch to Columbia, you know, just because it's more kind of enclosed campus. So I would just suggest to people looking into colleges, make sure you want to go to this type of school. You know, go visit, check it out, and see if you're really interested.
We're almost getting the hook, but we ignored that. We're going to go around a few more times. Shannon?
I'm not trying to be funny, but it's something I didn't do when I went to my college. Always go to the cafeteria and try out the food, because you're going to be living with it forever, and you want to know how the food's going to be. That's one mistake that I made. I didn't check the cafeteria.
Every cafeteria is not like Walter's, Shannon. It really is. Other bits of advice go around. Somebody who has not spoken would like to. Okay, Robert?
One of the things that I think would be helpful if in high school you worked more like on research papers, because in college you do a lot more on the research rather than just like persuasive essays with, you know, all right, you state your facts, you state why in this book I feel this character is, you know, X, Y, Z. Whether in college rather, it's more like, all right, you gotta get your books, you gotta get your internet sources, you gotta get all your sources, and you gotta, you know, give people credit from where you get your sources and so forth. And if that was worked on more, like in high school, that would really prep you more for college, like quite a bit more. Other than that, it's fine.
Yeah. I think when you get to college, you can't expect it to be like high school at all. Like, and you shouldn't even make those expectations. Like I have no similarities with MHS at Texas. Like, my friends are totally, like my friends here are cool, and they're totally different in Texas. You know, it's just little things. You should appreciate what you got here, really. Like, just appreciate everything about it, because you go to college and it's just totally different. So you should just, yeah.
Nicely put. Monica?
Yeah, I think, like, I was afraid to go to college. I think that you should just have the security that when you come home, everything's going to be the same. You know, like, your friends, you'll still have them. You move on in, like, some aspects of your life, but you still always come home, you know? So.
You gotta learn to work around distractions and time sharing. I mean, you gotta put a certain amount of time toward work, and then, because there are just so many distractions at college that it's really easy to get sidetracked.
Bridge. And then Ian?
You really need to make yourself open to new things and different kinds of people. Like, you live in a community where a lot of people are very similar. And, like, I went to school and it was such a culture shock. Like, my roommate lives on a dirt road and doesn't have indoor plumbing, you know? And, like, it's just so many people are so different than you. And you need to keep yourself open to that.
I was just going to say, learn how to do laundry before you go to school, because I've screwed up a bunch of times.
Don't they have service to do that? I'm just teasing. You know, I guess it is time to wrap it up, and you'll have to excuse the sentimentality, but I really do miss you very much. Of course, I'm happy that you're moving forward in your life, but I'm just happy that I had you for 4 years and that you joined me, so that's number one. Thank you very much. And two, I hope you have a terrific second semester, and both Dr. King and I wish you a very happy holiday and a happy new year. And please come back and visit often. Thank you very much.
Have a great vacation.